Alright, doing some tuck pointing downstairs, working on a wall. Had to rebuild this one. Had pretty severe fallout. It's all sand behind the rock. This is permanent, but I think what the guy did was he poured these permanent walls, and then he, some reason, built these stone shelves, or possibly these stone shelves were a prior building, and then he built the stone walls around them, which makes more sense to me. But I'm guessing that these stone walls are probably older. The house was built in '34, and apparently this was attached to the railroad as part of some of their buildings. So I'm guessing that, I mean the railroad had new tracks put in '42, and so they probably had a building here that had some sort of use. I've been told that they had a extra coal storage in the back room here. I have no proof of that. I'd have to do some real researching, but I doubt that it's a fact, because it's lower than the tracks, and why would they hump coal up and down? Doesn't make much sense. But I know the neighbor guy's house was an ice shack. They would cut ice and store it for the winter for the railroad, and the railroad would bring it into town, or wherever they needed to go with it. So I'm just prepping this for a stone, and we'll have her buttoned up here pretty quick. I should have done this mortar a little bit drier, but there we go. And that excess you can just pull off of there. They don't look like much, but it's all going to get painted anyways. Doesn't have any real structural use or anything. It's all just cosmetics, so slap and play, basically. You can see how fast I can pop that mud in there. I've been doing this masonry work for a couple of years now, at least. Full, I don't know, I've done quite a bit. Done a lot of block, and I don't lay block, but a lot of tending. I can lay block, it's not hard. But a lot of brick chimneys. Done a lot of cement work, a lot of stairs and driveways and barns. Anything you could really think of with cement, I've done it. Patios, different foundations, furnace foundations in old Michigan basements. Done a whole bunch of them. Those are kind of nice because sometimes they're warm in the basement, at least. Oh, coming along, coming along. But I've been working on various things, trying to kind of complete my house so that I can get on to some other projects. This was literally falling out of the wall. I mean, there was a pile of stones and bugs all over, and sand. It had been a problem for, I would say, quite some time. And the deal was it was behind a dresser that I had never moved before. I moved in 2 years ago, and there's just some things you don't get around to moving, It didn't have to be moved. It wasn't in the way. I had more important things going on, such as windows and chimneys and who knows, working. Lots of things going on. So, but then you just kind of do the finish work real easy like. Like I said, it's getting painted. It ain't really nothing fancy. It's just there to hold the moisture and the bugs and all that. What do we got here? Spot up here. And that stuff, just slap it right in there. Now this is of course the rough cut. I'll finish it off a little bit, but it don't really need to be finished too much. Just physically has to patch. And you see how I use my hand as a plate. There's a lot of guys that do that. There's some that don't. I kind of use it as like a pallet. See how nicely that's finishing? It smooths off pretty good. You come back after it's dry with a brush and you can get all this stuff off of here like that. Them little frillies and whatnot. Just kind of pretty it up while you guys are watching. For them fellas that think they can't do this, it's about as simple as finger painting, really. Except you ain't using your fingers. I mean, sometimes I do use my fingers like this type of thing. I'll go in there and push that in real gently. And then I'll just take my trowel and I'll go around real nice and easy like that. Sometimes it don't work out, sometimes it does. Patience ain't a bad thing to have while doing a little tuck pointing. See how nice that turned out? I hardly did anything there. And this here, we'll fix that up real quick. It's all getting painted. Ain't gotta be perfect, but I do like to have a good job when I walk by my house and say, yep, that's done right. Better off doing it right once and wrong a couple times, I'd like to say. Sometimes you got to do a little pullback, kind of work the material back up. Sometimes it droops a little bit when it's a little too wet.